Live to see it, friends, and welcome to The World Transformed. This program is your guide to an astounding future that lies ahead, one that will be here sooner than you think, and one that you have an important role to play in bringing about. We're not here so much to talk to you about the future as we are to encourage you to think about your future and to consider what may be the biggest transformation of them all, the one that occurs in your life, the one that happens when your world is transformed. The one that begins with considering and acting on the almost limitless possibilities that lie ahead, and that ends somewhere beyond the reach of the human imagination. So, when does this astounding future begin? Well, today is the day. My name is Phil Bowermaster, and I am all alone here in the virtual studio. My co-blogger, co-futurist, and co-host, Stephen Gordon, has the night off. He has graciously given me the microphone because I'm making a small format change this evening. Rather than the usual banter and back and forth, I'm just going to do most of the talking tonight, and you'll see why. It's not just because I like talking, although I enjoy it pretty well. It's actually because I want to demonstrate how to do something, and it's going to require that I do most of the talking, and that would have left Stephen out, so that wasn't fair for him. Stephen, thanks a lot for giving me this time to do this. The topic this evening is The World Transformed. Not the program The World Transformed. We've also got a book called The World Transformed. If you've been listening to this program, you know we've been working on this for several months. This book is a collection of essays describing how to make the world a better place. We got the idea for it. We were inspired by our friend Ramez Nam and his book, The Infinite Resource. Ramez argues that ideas are the one thing we'll never run out of, and one of the best things that we have to make the world a better place. We agree completely, and we thought, well, what can we do to help gather more ideas, to help take advantage of the infinite resource? And it occurred to us, well, let's put a book together. Let's get people to contribute their ideas for how to make the world a better place, and we'll publish them. So the book is being published in 2 editions. Eventually, it's going to be an ebook, because it's going to be bigger than a book that you would ever be able to print the conventional way, because we're going to collect ideas from as many people as we can get them. If we can get 10,000 ideas, 100,000, a million or more, we're going to put them all into this same book. That will be online, and that will be The World Transformed, or as we're calling it, the world's longest book. But we're going to start a little smaller. We're starting with an abridged edition that has 99 good ideas for how to make the world a better place. And these essays can be on virtually any topic. They can be about technology and science. We expect to get quite a few on that. They can be about economics. They can be about medicine or nutrition or government or philosophy. Virtually anything that people believe can help make the world a better place. There's only 2 topics that we've excluded by definition, and those are religion and politics. Not that we don't like religion and politics, but just because it quickly becomes kind of divisive, and you know, there's plenty of people already writing on those subjects, so we figured they wouldn't be too terribly left out if we didn't include them in this book. Now, the essays can be anywhere between 500 and 1,500 words long, and they have to include a first step. You have to say, how can you really do this thing that I'm talking about would be such a great idea for improving the world? So it's this exercise in moving an idea from thought space to the real world, really putting something out there. And we have 99 authors signed up to contribute. Some of them are famous, some are not. These are mostly people who've been guests on The World Transformed or on Fast Forward Radio, although some of them are just friends of ours or people that we thought would be good contributors to the book. Because of the kinds of topics we deal with on this show, we talk about technology, we talk about the future, we talk about science. We've got scientists, technologists, and futurists all signed up to write chapters of the book. Those categories are well taken care of. We've also got authors, we've got filmmakers, and philosophers. Those people are all helping to write this book. But we also have business people, lawyers, factory workers, and students contributing to the book. And in fact, I can tell you that we have a model, we have an opera singer, and we have a magician all contributing. So we've got people from all walks of life, and it's very important, as I mentioned, that we have a student doing it, because we're planning that the long version of the book, the ebook, will be contributed to by a large number of, we're hoping, high school and college students from all over the world. So as we approach the deadline for initial submissions to the abridged edition of the book, some of those of you who have been working on it or have agreed to write a chapter have been expressing reservations about whether you're going to be able to finish in time. And there's been a good deal of trepidation about whether I should find someone else or whether you should do it. So I'm going to do 3 things tonight to address that problem. Anyone who's worried about whether there's enough time, the first draft submissions are due February 28th. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move the deadline 2 additional weeks. So now the deadline for first draft submissions for those who have already written a chapter or have agreed to write a chapter is March 14th. And I'm making that a hard deadline. We've moved it a couple of times. This time it's for real. And after March 14th, if we haven't received a submission, one of the 99 places will open up, and we're going to take submissions from anyone else who'd like to contribute to the book. So any of you who are watching this or listening to this and you think, hey, I'd kind of like to write a chapter in that 99 chapter book, drop me an email at book@worldtransformed.org, and we're going to put you on the waiting list. If a slot opens up, I think most of our authors are actually going to come through, but if a slot opens up, it'll be there for you. And by the way, if no slots open up, we can still send you some information about how you can contribute your good idea, which we still want to get, to the longer book, to the world's longest book. So that's 2 things I'm going to do. I'm going to move the deadline, and I'm going to make it a hard deadline. And the third thing I'm going to do is I am going to write my submission right here tonight on this show. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to revise the rules of submissions just a little bit. Up to this point, we've been saying that all submissions have to be an original idea that you cannot have published elsewhere before. Well, since I'm putting this up on Blog Talk Radio and up on YouTube, and I'll be putting a piece up on The Speculist, new rule, you can have published your piece before. But it's important that it be an original idea and that it be your idea, and this is the most important part, that you own the copyright to it and that you're able to allow us to publish it. So if it's been published before, that's okay. As long as it's original, fairly new, and belongs to you. So, how am I going to write my submission tonight on the show? Well, here's what I did. I got my idea finally about a week ago. It occurred to me, this is what I want to make my submission. This is my idea for changing the world. This is my idea for making the world a better place. And I was thinking about it, and I jotted down a few notes, and I've got those notes in front of me tonight. So I'm speaking from notes, but I have not written a draft. I've just got a few notes that I'm going to use that will turn into my quick talk through of what my idea is tonight. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch this on YouTube or listen to it on Blog Talk Radio, and I'm going to write my submission. What I want to show is that having a good idea about how to change the world and explaining how to put that idea into action doesn't have to be a high-pressure thing. It can be pretty straightforward, it can be pretty easy, and I think it can be a lot of fun. All right, so without any further ado, here is my submission to the world's longest book. I want to tell you all something important about your lives, something that you know to be true about your lives, but that perhaps you haven't thought about lately, or perhaps you've never thought about in this exact form. And that fact is this: your life is a matter of days. So is mine. So is everybody's. Everybody's life is a matter of days. Now, I went to one of these life expectancy calculator sites. This is a fun activity. You should give this a try. Just go to a search engine and type in life expectancy calculator, and several of them will come up. I answered some questions about lifestyle and my parents and my medical history, and it spit back an answer. It said, you can expect to live 86.3 years. Not a bad answer. But I thought, well, I wonder how accurate that is. Some of those questions seem kind of wonky. So I tried another one, and it said I'm going to live 79.3 years. So big 7-year difference in the wrong direction on that one. So after that second one, I decided I didn't want to try anymore. I didn't like the way that trend was going, and I had plenty of data points to work with. Now let's talk about that. 86.3 years. That's 31,500 days. That's how long I can expect to live according to that one estimate. If you go with the 79.3 years, that's still 28,954 days. That's a lot of days. Now, as of today, February 14th, 2014, by the way, happy Valentine's Day, everybody. As of today, I have lived 18,975 days. That means I've used up, depending on the estimate, 15.96 or 64.9% of the total number of days that I have. Being the optimist, being the glass is half full kind of guy, I look at it and say, okay, great. I've still got 35 to 40% of my days to do something with. That's quite a few days, and I'm going to make good use of those. So that's important. Our lives are a matter of days, but they're not the only thing that are a matter of days. You know what else is a matter of days? The future is a matter of days. Everything we hope to achieve. We talk almost exclusively about the future on this program, and we talk in very optimistic terms about the future on this program. Everything we hope to achieve, everything we hope to see happen, everything that makes up our greatest dreams, our greatest hopes, our greatest longings for the future, as well as everything we dread, everything we fear, everything we're trying to prevent from happening. Everything that is ever going to happen, if it actually does happen, it's a matter of days until it does. Just think about that for a minute. It's a matter of days until that thing happens. Now, one other way of looking at life, the world, the future being a matter of days, is how useful that is for tracking goals, for tracking projects, for tracking accomplishments. An example is the Golden Gate Bridge. Work started on the Golden Gate Bridge on January 5th, 1933. The bridge was completed and opened for traffic on May 27th, 1937. So, 1,603 days to build the Golden Gate Bridge. That's an interesting number of days. Now, keep that in mind. Let's look at another one. On May 25th, 1961, President John F. Kennedy addressed a joint session of Congress in which he made the following proposition. He said, we should make a goal before this decade is out to send a man to the moon and bring him safely home again. And in fact, that did occur on July 20th, 1969, when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin landed on the moon. So from May 25th, 1961 to July 20th, 1969, 2,978 days to get to the moon. Or how about this one, the Human Genome Project, the initial mapping of the human genome. The project began in 1990. It ended in February 2001. It was about 4,049 days to map the human genome. Now, here's what's interesting about those periods of days. As I mentioned, I've lived about 19,000 days so far. If you look at my days in terms of these projects, my number of days is about 10, 12 times as long as it took to build the Golden Gate Bridge. It's about, what would we say, 3,000? About 6 times as long as it took to get to the moon. And it's about 4.5 times as long as it took to map the human genome. Now, unfortunately, I can't claim that even though I've had more than 10 times, 6 times, or more than 4 times as much time to do these things, I have not built any bridges, I have not sent anyone to the moon, and I have not mapped the human genome. I have done some things, but I haven't done those things. Although that's not really a fair comparison because I'm just one person and these were mostly big group projects. But note this important thing, that our lifespans, the number of days we have, can contain the amount of time it takes to complete these kinds of tasks. What can be accomplished can often be accomplished within a human lifetime. And amazing things that can be done within the days that each of us have. So I'm going to stop right here because I can sense that some of you are probably going to object to what I'm saying on the following terms, and I think this is a valid objection. Phil, aren't you really just saying that the future or our lives or completing a project are a matter of time, not days? And yes, of course, that's true. Other measurements of time are equally valid in terms of telling us how long between two things that happen. But days are very special. Days are important and they're very special, and I'll tell you why. Days are the smallest unit of time that we have that has a real arc to it. Days have a beginning, they have a middle, and they have an end. A day tells a story. And that's true for other units of time too. A year tells a story. A year tells the story of the Earth orbiting the sun. The days grow longer, the days grow shorter, the seasons change, we make it all the way around the sun. That's a year. A month, especially traditionally, tells a story. There's a new moon. It gets bigger, it gets bigger, it gets bigger. Then it's full, then it starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller, it goes away. That's a month. Even a week tells a story, particularly the way we structure our weeks around there being the Monday blues, trying to get over the hump, everyone's looking forward to today, Friday, and then the weekend is a completely different thing. There's a cycle that occurs. There's an arc that occurs. An hour doesn't have an arc. An hour is 60 of something. A minute is 60 of something. But a day, it's the smallest unit of time we have that really works as a model for something else. I'm not saying it's the smallest useful measure of time. And I'm not saying it's the smallest unit of time that we should use to try to get anything done in. Far from it. A few minutes or even sometimes a few seconds is all it takes to get something done. And we should measure our accomplishments in those terms too. But a day is the shortest model we have of our lives. Like our life, which tells a story, the day tells a story. And it's a perfect kind of particulated version of our lifetime. The shortest one of those we have. And let me give you another reason why days are so special. There's this old exercise in money management where they say if you really want to understand where your money is going, do this. Next time you get paid, instead of taking your paycheck to the bank and depositing it or having it auto-deposited, cash it and bring it home, not in the form of normal denominations as you normally would, but say your paycheck is for $1,000, bring home 1,000 $1 bills, and then sit down at the table and put all your bills out that you're going to pay, or some marker to represent all the different things that you're going to do, and you say, okay, well, here's our utility bill, here's our rent or mortgage, here's how much we're going to pay on groceries, and actually just start stacking $1 bills for each of those items, and create this kind of visual representation of where your money is going. Now, you can actually do this exercise using 10s or 20s or $100 bills, depending on how much you get paid. It might not be as precise, and you might have a problem actually trying to pay with those because you need to get change. But much more importantly is you're not going to have the same visual impact. If you lay down your mortgage is $1,500, or say even $800, and you have to lay down 800 $1 bills and make that big stack, that really makes the impression. It's a visual and emotional impact to see where your money is going. And that's why days are a great unit to talk about where your time is going. Let's think about some of the kinds of things that people do in their lives. Someone will tell you, I ran a marathon. I trained for 2 years leading up to that. Hey, we just got married. We dated for 4 years before that happened. I finally finished my PhD, spent 6 years on that. Now, 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, those are all good representations of time. We know what they mean. But how much more impactful is it to realize that while you were training for that marathon, you actually put in 700 days of training, or there were 700 days during which you were training for that. That as you were dating, you spent 1,500 days together. As you were working on your PhD, you spent 2,200 days to arrive at that goal. And the truth is that training sessions occur in a day. Dates, when people meet, when people fall in love, when they get engaged, those all occur in a day. And of course, if you're working on a PhD or any long-term project, the progress of that occurs one day at a time. So when you start talking about 700, 1,500, and 2,200, that's a lot of units. It's a lot of little lifetimes. And I think it puts it all in context in a way that other units of time can't. Especially when you start thinking about things in your life you'd like to change. How long have I been overweight? How long have I been in a relationship that's going nowhere? How long have I been working at this job that I just can't stand? If you talk about that in terms of years, and I'm sorry if any of those have been going on in your life for years and you're unhappy with it, yeah, there's impact. But when you start talking about days, there's far more impact. How long have I been living in this house? If I don't like where I live, I don't like my apartment, I don't like my house, how long have I been living in it? Oh, look, I've been living here longer than it took to send a man to the moon, right? I've been living here longer than it took to map the human genome. It helps you to start to make the turnaround, especially when you start to say, how much longer do I want to do that? You probably don't want to do it a year. How many more days? How many days do I need to spend in order to fix this area of my life? Once again, it's the smallest unit we have, and therefore we have the most of them of all the meaningful units. And then we start to ask this other question, well, just like with our bank account, just like taking those dollar bills, do we have enough dollars to pay all the bills? Do we have enough days to do the things that we want to do? As I noted earlier, 31,000 sounds a lot better than 29,000, but you know what sounds better than that? 50,000. That sounds like a good number of days to have. But maybe even more importantly than how many total we get is what are we doing with them? Are we enjoying our days? Are we doing something meaningful with those days? Are we doing something important with those days? Eliezer Yudkowsky has a video in which he talks about living forever. This is a popular topic on this program. It's a popular topic in the circles that we travel in. Life extension. Do you want to try to become immortal? Do you want to try to live forever? And Ellie says something I think really profound. He says, it's not about living forever. It's not about extending my life forever. It's about the fact that right now I'm alive and I'm enjoying this day and I want to have one more day. And you know what? Tomorrow I'll probably enjoy that day and I'll probably have one more day tomorrow too. That's a great system and it's a great way to go. But the problem with that is if I've only got 31,500 only, it sounds like a lot, but if I've only got 31,500, eventually I don't get one more day. Eventually, even though I'm enjoying the day I'm having and I want there to be another one, there won't be one. And that's where this finally becomes a world transformed topic, because obviously life extension is one of the things we talk about on this show. You think about a coming era when we truly will be able to indefinitely extend human life. Or you think about some of these other transformations that we talk about. We talk about the technological singularity, a coming time when non-human intelligence will exceed human intelligence, and when the world will change in profound ways that it's difficult to describe or even imagine. Or we talk about a coming era of abundance when scarcity as we know it will be eliminated. If these things are going to happen, it's a matter of days until they do. I always start and end every program with the words live to see it. And live to see it means a lot of different things. It talks a lot about the attitude that I have about the future and the attitude that I encourage everyone to have towards the future, which is a hopeful attitude and an attitude that says I'm moving in a particular direction and I want to see certain things happen. But also at a very simple level, live to see it means, hey, stick around long enough to see whatever it is that you're hoping to see. Stick around for the future because it's going to be pretty cool. Let your days overlap with those days that you're looking forward to. And we can begin asking these questions. How long is it until? How long is it until no one on earth is hungry? How long is it until death by any form of disease is eliminated? How long is it until the human lifespan, as I mentioned, becomes indefinitely expandable? How long is it until we travel to the stars? How long is it until we meet and get to interact with other intelligent beings, whether they be intelligences that have evolved here or folks that we meet out there? How long is it until we truly understand the mysteries of the universe? And how long is it until humanity fulfills an amazing and glorious destiny beyond anything we can imagine today? Well, the truth is, if any of these things are going to happen, it's a matter of days until they do. My idea to transform the world is to get people thinking in terms of days, to realize that the future, our lives, and everything we want to do is a matter of days. I want to encourage people to make better use of their days, to increase the number that we have, and to decrease the number of days between where we are now and our most cherished hopes and dreams. And my first step for that is, well, I'm going to do whatever I can to spread the word. Why counting the days is important and why we need to be thinking about it. So I'm doing this program tonight. I'm also creating a site. That's kind of what I do. I do blogs and that sort of thing. And I've just acquired the domain amatterofdays.com. This is going to be a resource for people to use to make the best use of their own days and to make the best use of all of our days. The plan here is to get really focused on ways we can reduce the number of days between now and the day that we're most looking forward to. And that, very simply, is my idea. I'm going to take this, I'm going to actually listen to what I've just said, and I'm going to write it up. And by the time you're listening to this, it should be published at The Speculist. So go to blog.speculist.com, and there's my submission. I had an idea, I wrote down some notes, I talked through it, and then I'm going to smooth that out into an actual written piece, which I will try desperately to keep between 5 and 1,500 words. So go to blog.speculist.com. Check it out. As you can see, it's not that hard to come up with an idea to change the world, and it's not that hard to define a first step. I hope you'll all join me in doing this. Those of you who've already signed up, those of you who want to be authors, go ahead, drop us a line at book@worldtransformed.org. Some of you may become authors, as I said, of the abridged edition, but you can all participate in the world's longest book, the online edition. And that's it for The World Transformed. Our music tonight is Voices by Paperboy. Stephen, thank you very much for putting that together. I look forward to being back with you on Monday and being back with you all on Monday when we'll begin 3 new shows for next week. Thanks again for being with us, and until next time, live to see it.
I can see it in your eyes. Don't you know they try to divide our love? voices coming over me like a freight train running. I can hear the voices coming over me like, oh. I can hear the voices coming over me like a freight train running. I can hear the voices telling me anything and everything. Prescription you could write for me, and maybe something off the shelf. Oh, will this one mask the symptoms that I feel? Will it make me feel like myself? I can hear the voices coming over me like a freight train running. I can hear the voices coming over me like, oh. I can hear the voices